Something huge just happened in India's crypto world. A really big court ruling has officially called cryptocurrency property. And that, my friends, gives investors some powerful new rights. So we're going to unpack exactly what this decision means for you and for the future of crypto in India.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with the ruling itself, what was actually decided. Then we'll get into the wild story of the case that kicked this whole thing off. After that, we'll dive into what this means for you, the investor, and the new rules for exchanges before we look ahead at what's next for crypto regulation in India.
Okay, let's jump right into the heart of it. This entire story really boils down to one single decision by the Madras High Court. So what did they actually say?
This one sentence, this is what changes absolutely everything. On October 25th, the court was crystal clear. No ambiguity, no room for interpretation. This simple statement gives crypto in India the legal foundation it's been missing for years.
So what this does is it takes crypto from being just this, abstract idea and makes it legally real. The court is basically saying your crypto has a similar legal standing to your car or your house or a company stock. It's something you can legally own, possess, and control, which gives it actual real-world legal power.
Okay, so that's the legal theory. But what does it mean for your wallet, for your rights? Well, to really get the impact, we need to rewind and look at the dramatic court case that started this whole fire.
Yeah, this ruling didn't just happen in some stuffy courtroom debate. It was born out of a real crisis, a massive cyber attack on one of India's biggest exchanges, WazirX, that put millions and millions of dollars of investors' money at risk.
$235 million. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That's the mind-boggling amount of crypto that was stolen from the exchange in one hack. And that one event kicked off a legal fight that went all the way to the High Court.
So here's how it all went down. First, the hack happens. Then the exchange comes up with this really controversial plan to cover their losses. They wanted to socialize them. Basically, that meant every single investor, even those who weren't hacked, would lose a slice of their funds to pay for the damage. But one investor said, no way. They fought back, arguing their crypto was their own private property. And that one challenge, well, that led to this landmark ruling.
And this is probably the most important part for every single person holding crypto in India right now. Because of this ruling, your assets are now legally seen as way more than just a number on a company's spreadsheet.
I mean, the difference here is like night and day. Before, your holdings were, for all legal purposes, just an entry in a database. You had very limited ways to fight back if something went wrong. But now, the law sees it as your protected property. And that unlocks a whole new toolbox of legal protections.
So what's in this new legal toolkit? Well, now you've got access to some serious property law remedies. We're talking about things like filing injunctions or making claims if your assets are misused. The bottom line is this. If an exchange gets hacked or decides to freeze your account for no good reason, you now have a much stronger legal leg to stand on. And this part is huge. It's a signal that Indian courts are ready to protect Indian investors no matter where the exchange is officially registered. It gives you a lot more confidence that your rights can actually be enforced right here at home.
Now, this ruling doesn't just give investors new powers. It also puts a new heavy weight of responsibility on the exchanges. You see, with new rights for you comes a whole new set of rules for the platforms you use.
And that brings us to this really critical legal idea, fiduciary duty. Basically, this ruling means exchanges can't just be passive platforms anymore. They now have a legal duty to act in your best interest and to protect your property. It puts them on the same level of trust as, say, a financial advisor.
So, what does that mean in the real world? Well, for starters, exchanges have to act like custodians of your property. This ruling suggests they have to hold your assets in trust, keep them totally separate from their own money, and this is the big one, they absolutely cannot use your crypto to cover their own losses. The days of just mixing everyone's money together might be coming to an end.
Okay, so a single court case like this sends massive ripples through the whole industry. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Where does crypto regulation in India go from here? Think of this ruling as a critical building block. By legally defining what crypto is property, it gives regulators a solid foundation to build on. A lot of people in the industry now expect this to really speed up government action, and we could see a formal regulatory plan coming much sooner than we thought. Now, we got to be realistic here. This is a massive step forward, but it's not the final word. This ruling comes from just one high court, and it could still be appealed. And it's super important to remember. This recognizes crypto as an asset, like gold or stocks, but it does not make it a legal currency, like the rupee. That's a key distinction.
Which brings us to our final question. For years, the story of crypto in India has felt like chaos versus clarity. Well, this ruling is the strongest push toward clarity we've ever seen. It strengthens your rights as an investor and demands more responsibility from exchanges. The road to full regulation is still long, for sure, but this might just be the moment we look back on when the scales finally started to tip.